Okay, so next thing I'm gonna do tutorial wise is stacking. And I got this picture already set up that I took with the Nikon 35mm. And if you saw my last video, I showed you how to do dark frames, and I've already got those in here, so those are right here. And what I did already to set this up, I went through everything, and I have all my sky layers, and these are all photographs that have no planes, nothing weird in them, so they should align pretty nice. And then I've got foreground, which I already tested these two. Still comes out pretty well, and pretty much what's going to happen here is I'm going to stack all of these images together to make one single image, and it's going to reduce noise by an absolute ton. And on top of doing the stacking, I'm also going to use the dark frames, and that's going to be my first step. Right here I have extra. That was just foreground images that either people had flashlights in or they were just the undesirable parts. So right here I have my dark frame, my master dark frame. I don't want to do that. So my master dark frame, and I have that right here. That's 30 images. They're all at ISO 4000, and I've already stacked those. If you don't know how to stack dark frames, you could check out my other tutorial. The first one I did was how to do dark frames. This one's pretty much going to be stacking bright frames. So I'm going to take that master dark frame right now, and I'm just going to put it in my foreground group. So I have my two groups, my foreground and my sky, to keep them separate. And right now I've got my foreground open, my master dark frame, and I am going to click Command J to duplicate that. And I'm going to make sure it's above an image. And I'm going to do this for every single one of these, because when you go into stacking, what happens is it's gonna do the same things that the dark frames does. I'm gonna add a median filter, which is going to take the average of everything. And I'd rather do my darks before that, get rid of all color noise, so that way I'm not taking the average of color noise, and then by the time I get to my dark frames, subtracting that, I'm not actually subtracting the noise structure that I isolated in my dark frames. I would be subtracting a little bit more, so it would actually ruin the image a bit. So I'm going to take all of these, make sure there's one above each one. I don't know what just happened there. So obviously I got to kind of step these down because I can't see everything. But it should pretty much go bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark. That's what it's doing, and a Command J duplicates a layer. So I'm going to keep doing that until I have everything paired with the dark. And I do now. Now I'm going to need to do this for the sky also, so I'm going to take one extra dark, and I'm just going to go hide it in my sky for now. I thought I felt a tick just crawling up my leg. Okay, so I've got my extra dark, perfect. My sky, not working on that right now, so I'm going to hide all of that, put that away. Now I've got bright, dark, bright, dark, bright, dark. Next thing, a little bit tedious. I'm going to choose that one, shift click there, and let me just see what this is. So layer, merge layers is Command E. So right now I've got that, this, and I'm going to Command E that, and it's going to merge the layer. And I'm going to do this for each and every one of these. So a dark frame will be subtracted out of all of this. Okay, so I'm getting to my last one here. Remember, select. Well, you select one, shift select the next, command E. That's how you merge them. And that's been done to each of those. So now I've removed all of the color noise from each of these foreground images. And I've merged it so that way there's less of them, it's easier to handle, and this is all that I have. They're all visible. And the next part, this is super easy. It could take a while because you have to stack them together, and if your computer's not fast, it could take forever. If your computer's fast, it could go quick. Mine takes a little bit, so I usually speed it up in here. But you're going to select all of these, everything you just merged, right click, convert to smart object, and this is pretty much the same exact process that you go through in creating a dark frame. The only thing is you have to make sure there's not that much variation. So I went through each of these images, and that's what the extra is right there. The extra is maybe 15 or 20 of these that weren't going to work because either a car was pulling up and they shined their lights and then I captured too much light on the rocks, or there was one of these fishermen were coming back and they had their lights on, and that just, if I merge that and then do a median filter with that, what'll happen is that's going to be sort of out of bounds. If you think about it, so median filter, it takes the average of each pixel, and then if I've got one that's just super white, it's going to mess it up and it's not going to look right. And you'll even see with these, because I tested this already when I add the median filter, it's going to look a little bit, it's going to look good, but you're going to see, because there was a fisherman moving around a little bit, and there's going to be a ghosting effect because of that. But it's no big deal. Something easy to take care of, or could even keep it. Okay, so here we go. Finally, that has been converted to a smart object. Now, what you didn't see, because I'll speed it up in Movie Maker or whatever, is that took probably like 20 minutes. In that time frame, I felt what felt like another tick, which I just feel like I felt another one. And I did actually find a damn tick. We went over to Prosser Pines before to fly the drone a little bit, and lo and behold, somehow I felt on my knee, and then I caught it when it was like halfway up my thigh. It's like one of those tiny, tiny little ticks. Miserable little creatures. I swear they're terrible. So we've got this here. I'm gonna go to layers, smart objects, stack mode, median, which is the same thing we do for dark frames. These damn ticks on the island are getting crazy. I swear I don't even like hiking because of them anymore. I had a friend last year who contracted Rocky Mountain spotted fever, Lyme's disease, and got the meat allergy all in one season. Now, if that's not enough reason to avoid those things at all cost, I don't know what is. And usually Prosser's pretty good. I don't usually get a tick there, but I guess today is different. So we've got this going on a median stack, which should only take a few moments, we could hope. And after that happens, our foreground is done. We don't have to do anything unless there's just something that, sticks out or messed itself up. And I already know what's going to happen for this one, and you'll see it the second it pops up. But other than that, we can get to the fun part, which is stacking the sky. And that is always hit or miss because there's so many things that could just make it not work. And I could already see, I'll just put this little loading thing next to it, but see that little green dot right there? That is because that Nikkor 35mm always gets some type of flare in it whenever I'm shooting towards a light. So even though down at 2.5 or 2.2, whatever this was shot at, I've still got kind of a nice effect here and it's not blotched out. Still getting a bit of a glare there, which I haven't used a hood on it. Maybe I should. That might get rid of it, but I almost doubt it. No, so that could pose a problem when it comes to stacking. If it does, I'm going to have to pause the video, remove that from each of the 25 images that I'm looking to stack the sky with, and then bring this back, because that is going to take forever, and that is a pain. Okay, so here we go. Here's our median stack of our foreground. You can see it is a lot cleaner, and so that little effect I said was going to happen, here it is. There's Mr. Fisherman standing there. There's Mr. Fisherman's ghost from when he was doing something else. There were a few shots where he was lighting a cigarette or had a flashlight on. See, those ones I removed because I'm fine with a little bit of ghosting, you know. That could be removed, or in this I might even keep it because it kind of looks cool. But if I would have put that light in there, it would have really, really messed things up. So I don't want that to be in there. But so that's it for the foreground. Foreground is damn done, and you can see what happens up here with the Milky Way. You know, that's not usable, but that little thing is still right there. So I'm gonna take this, it's actually in my foreground group. I'm gonna do that, do this, block that away, and just put that down there. Now I'm gonna come to my sky, and so I could hold down there, go all the way through these. So this is super convenient, and I didn't realize this until just recently, but if you've got something hidden and you press it and you pull, it'll unhide everything that you go over. So that is awesome. So I'm gonna do the same exact thing I did before with the dark frames. They're going to be even more important in this sky because I'm going to want to pull a lot. And, you know, the purpose in this is removing camera noise, and it also gives you a lot more range in case you want to pull your exposure up or your highlights or whatever you want to do. Whatever you would usually do in a post-process of the Milky Way, you have a lot more power when you stack because you're really not hurting the information as much as you would be when it's full of noise and already prone to look terrible. Okay, so those are all good down there. So I got a bunch to go over here. Now I feel like ticks are crawling all over me. That's the worst part about it. You find one tick and you sit there and say, that thing was so small, how on earth could that have been the only one that happened to crawl on me? And then for the next 2 days, you feel violated. Completely and utterly violated. Stupid little creatures. Bring turkeys back to Long Island. Apparently turkeys eat ticks. So we've almost got this going. I might have made one too many. Okay, so no, that's it. So looks pretty good. And now I'm gonna do the same exact thing I did before. Shift, hold, Command E. On Windows it's probably Control E, Alt E, whatever it is for you people. But you could always go up to layer right up here after you have them selected, and then it'll say merge layers, and you'll be able to see what the quick key is. It's a lot better with the quick keys. It is so much easier because otherwise you just have to press, hold, right click, merge, right click, merge over and over and over again. So I'm gonna go ahead and merge all of these layers. Okay, last one. Every time you saw a gap in there, it was me checking myself for ticks again. I swear, this is the only time in my life that I wish I had no hair on my body or birthmarks or anything. Okay, so now on to step 2. That's step 1 for your sky is the dark frames, obviously. Step 2 for your sky, which you don't have to do for the foreground, you might have to do it one day, but for this one we didn't have to do it, is you're going to add a layer mask right there. We're going to select our brush, we're going to go in here, and we're going to make that sure that that color is black. So next thing, I'm going to make this nice and big. Make sure that's 100 and that's 100, because sometimes you'll use a layer mask and it won't work and you'll go, what's wrong? Your opacity is at like 30. That could be a nightmare. So I could go a little bigger than that. That's fine for now. I'm just gonna start blending out the foreground, and if you toggle the / key, you could see it a little bit better. Now I'm lucky over here. Normally I hate this, but I'm actually glad that there's such a haze on the island, because it gives me a lot of leeway, so I could just pull and not really have to worry too much about it, because there's no stars or anything down there anyway. You just have to hope that doesn't make a nightmare for stacking. So I'm going to pull pretty much all the way up to the end of that haze, down to try to, I want to isolate this thing too, because I don't want that to make any issues. So right up to that haze. And now you're going to ask yourself, John, we've been doing everything on every image. Please don't tell me we have to do this. Well, guess what? You do, but you could press Alt, grab that, drag it. Same thing. Alt, grab that, drag it. Same thing. Alt, grab that, drag it. And you're just going to do this for every single image. And so you're seeing some of these that I didn't actually use for the foreground because of those lights. Those are starting to show up now. So you can see why I wouldn't want those stacked with the for the foreground. What's just happened there? Put my computer through the ringer sometimes. It really doesn't like me. I actually have an external hard drive that I run my scratch discs off of, and it's fast enough to be able to work properly with it. And it's about a terabyte, and it still gives me issues. So maybe it's not even fast enough. At least this doesn't take too long. You see, that one I didn't use because it was all lit up. That was when someone came and parked. And I had my camera sitting down this entire time with a shutter remote. So it was just constantly taking photo after photo after photo after photo. I didn't have to worry about it. Found a good spot, and then I just choose the desirable ones and then the not. So here you can see what we've actually masked out, and this is what we're going to try to stack and align, and we can hope this works. And I can tell you right now, it almost never does on the first time. So I'm gonna select all of those, and I'm gonna make my computer hate me again. So we're gonna go to edit, yep, edit, auto align layers, and let's see. Well, we can't do vignette removal and geometric distortion anymore because we merged with those darks, and those darks were each a merger of 30 images. So it's now lost the knowledge that this was a Nikon lens. If before I did a merger I wanted to do stacking, it would give me the option to do the vignette removal and geometric distortion. Sometimes that's good. For this particular one, I didn't choose to actually do it. I may regret it. I may not. But we'll see. So I'm going to auto-align these layers now. And this is going to take quite a while. And we can hope that it works. After these are auto-aligned, I'll show you how to check it. It's actually pretty easy. And also, if you run into a problem, you could usually see which ones are causing the problem, undo the alignment, remove those out of the stack, because I think I have something like 25 images here, and I would be happy with 8. So I'm going for 25 because, you know, the more the merrier. But If a few of them don't work, that's fine. I'll throw them right in the trash and move on to the next ones. Alright, I'm really excited to see if this actually worked, and I highly doubt it did. So let's do this. I'm gonna go now to lighten, just to see what's wrong. Don't be tricked, still loading. And I think that green thing's gonna make a nightmare. Oh yeah, look at that. That is weird and I don't like it. So let's see where the issues are. So yeah, I'm gonna get nice and up close. Now you can see there are a few that are clearly doubled up. And, you know, I don't know if that's 10 that are stacked right and 10 that aren't. We just don't know yet. But we will soon. Alright. And you know what I'm actually going to do too? I should have done before. I'm going to go to my foreground stack and I'm going to rasterize that. Because after that's done, this should work a little bit quicker. Okay, so let's go in here, see what happens. So pretty much I'm just going to remove things until I see something look better. It's already looking a little bit better. So I'm really just hoping that some of these ones are stacked pretty well. And so I already see, you know, that's not too bad. That's not too bad at all. Let's see. Oops. Okay. Alright. Oh, got a little bit messed up. Seems like these two are good, and these two are good on their own. Also seems like these ones are really solid. Those three. And these are still pretty close. And that's where it gets messed up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 from the bottom. I'm just gonna make this one red so that way I know those are. Let me make sure. Yeah, that's where it gets messed up. So these ones and down, I have 9 safe ones right there. I just want to see if I have some better ones. It's not too bad. Alright, that starts to get to be too much. So I'm going to mark this one as orange. Block those ones out. See what happens with these ones. So individually, some of these aren't too bad. I'll mark this as green. So let's see. That compared to, I want to see which one's the best. It seems like they're all not too bad. The individual ones that actually are lined up. This one seems to be not so good though, compared to the other ones at least. That's not too bad. What is this? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take these ones, and I'm just going to delete them. Or actually, sorry, first thing I'm going to do. So I know that that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, so actually we'll just do this. Take these, and I'm going to get rid of them. I don't want them anymore. And let's see what happens when I try to put these together. I got excited for a second. I didn't realize it was loading, and I thought they all just worked out. No, terrible. So let's get rid of. Let's see. So I want to keep these ones. I'm going to keep those. So this is what I'm going to try. I'm going to select these 9, and I'm going to auto align them again, and I'm going to hope that it comes out a little bit better than last time. So let's go for that. Alright, so let's take a look at this and see what happened. Looks like my blue light filter came back on, so let's disable that. I mean, doesn't look too bad. Yeah, it does. Those two are good together, but we may end up with only these ones. And it looks like they might get progressively worse. Let me just make sure we wouldn't have been better with the others. Before I move forward. Because this is a vital part. Nah, screw these ones. Very lined out. But we do have them both just in case. So these are already selected. Now, after that's been done, I'm going to get rid of these layer masks. And I'm going to keep that red group just in case, because, you know, you don't know. Maybe you want it. Wow, that's interesting. Delete layer mask. Alright, I'm also going to take all of these, take them off of lighten, put them back to normal. And now I am going to convert them to a smart object. And you could probably see where this is going. I'm Gonna convert these to a smart object, can stack them with a median filter, this same exact thing, and that's why you have to have a really good alignment. These shots were untracked, which means I set the tripod down and I just kept it in the same exact spot and kept shooting. So that's why you see after alignment, everything's moved over a little bit and it's tilted. The best way to stack images is to put your camera on a tracker, because then, and I'll do a video on that too, I have a really good set from out in Montauk, something like 20 images that I tracked. I haven't stacked them yet. And since they're tracked, I mean, there's no movement. So I could align them if I want to. Most likely, it's going to be pointless, because they'll already all be in a line, unlike this, where this is kind of taking forever. So that's why you see a lot of people will take their foregrounds, take a bunch of images, just like we just did, to stack those, and then they'll throw their camera on a tracker and track the sky from the same exact spot. It just makes this workflow so much easier. A lot of this can just turn into troubleshooting. I mean, really, astrophotography doesn't feel like photography as much as it feels like data collection. And I probably said that in the last video, and I'm probably going to say it in every single video after this, because after just sitting here and, this is for one photo, and I've spent at least an hour pulling things in for it before starting the video. I started making this video at maybe 9:15. It's about 10:40 now. So you can see, processing it takes a long time, and a lot of it is to counteract all of the atmospheric effects and the limitations of our cameras and everything else. And, it's a necessity. At least if you want to. Okay, we are converted to a smart object. Now, the real moment of truth. Smart objects, stack mode, and median. And let's see what happens. We are almost there. Alright, so let's take a look. Not too shabby. Didn't mess it up too much. So let's do a before and after with this one. A lot less noise. And it did a bit of a star reduction for me, which is something that I usually also do. So let's see what happens when we start processing this. And you can see down there, that's just going to be that. So we're going to want to bring our foreground into here. And I'm going to go ahead and rasterize this. Now remember, I still have this safe bit. So I'm going to group this and call this safe, because, there's a chance that I might see if that one's going to be better. But I really don't feel like waiting to create another smart object right now. So that is group safe. There is this foreground. We've got this. Let me just bring both of these out of here now. Completely out. This is dark frames and everything. And so what do I got up top? I've got my sky up top. I usually like to bring the sky in underneath the foreground. So I'm going to put foreground up top, and I am going to put a mask on that. Go grab a gradient filter, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to start applying a gradient. What happened there? Oh, oops. I was on a radial filter. Alright, gradient. Make sure, so you could choose a radial filter right here if you want to. That's good for some things. I want to use a linear gradient for this though. So I'm going to come down. And this is kind of just to see what happens for this one. Seems like it's actually being nasty. So that is because this one's not white. That one's got to be white. That one's got to be black. Now we could do this. Let's come down there. Pretty much we just want to remove the whole sky out of that foreground shot. Now, you know what? That wasn't too damn bad right there. That was a good move. Still got that in a little bit there. So what I'm going to do is I'll just grab a brush. I'm going to grab a brush, make the hardness soft. Still decent soft. Yeah, a little bit bigger. Make it really soft. I'm going to take that out. Oops. Command Z, very important. Backs up your mistakes. Alright, I'm going to switch that to white. When you're in white over here, you're giving back to what you've taken away. So I want to give back, and I want to get that back. So I'm going to do this, and remember we have all this haze up here that I really didn't bother thinking about because it takes so long to get to the stars. I want a little more of that too. Alright, now we'll bring that in. And you know what? That ain't too damn bad. Ain't too damn bad. So that's all I've got for the sky, huh? So I'm gonna want to crop this thing out. And this is where I'm gonna see if I have to move anything. Now Instagram, here you go. You could be an Instagram pro with their crop. It's 4:5. And this is that native thing for Instagram they've got going where you can have that long ways shot. So let me pull that in a bit. When I shot this, I really wanted to have a lot of these rocks in here. I don't want to cut out too much of the Milky Way though, so I'm going to be real careful. I kind of like that. I think that's alright. Alright, let's take that and see what happens. So I said I might stack the other one up, but to be honest, this one's looking pretty good. And as I will show in my Lightroom tutorial, though I might not even have to for this, I'll usually do something called star reduction. That's a fancy term for it, and a lot of people do that in different ways with either an unsharp mask or in different programs. Me, I just throw a mask over the sky itself, and I take the clarity down in Lightroom. And if I need to, I could show you that for this one. But what I'm going to get into now, if this ever crops, is blending and getting the colors right, because that's a big thing. I mean, I want the white balance to be right on this, and I was shooting straight into a green light with a bunch of light pollution and haze all over the place. So that's why this whole thing is just red like this. So we're going to correct all of that before I end this out, and maybe I might even actually finish this tonight. There we go. Alright, so let's see. Is that what I want? Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Let me just, I do want to see one thing. There's that. So yeah, there's your, there's the sky image. And here's now the foreground blended in. Not too bad, right? That's not some crazy magic Photoshop work. That's just, you know, making it work. Oh, is that exactly how I want it? I think so. I might actually move this down just a tiny bit. see an oddity. I have to get back in there, actually. To get back into that crop. Yeah, that's good. Because now I can see what's going on with some things. So I'm going to move this down to here. And then as you can see over here, because of the aligning, it changes the size sometimes. So I'm just going to bring that right in. I might even bring that thing back up a little bit. But at least we fix this. Okay. So there we go. We've got our image. Got that thing in there. I may want to, and you may find you'll end up in these situations too. Or you just want to brush things up a little bit, so make sure you're on that layer. Make sure you're on the one you want to be on. Now there, bring the sky out a little bit more. I just want to see. Calls from the void. Yeah, okay. So that's pretty much where I want that to be. So that pretty much concludes stacking for noise reduction. There are a few more things I'd like to do with this, but they're a bit experimental, at least for me. So I'm not going to record them in this one, but I'm going to do a few things, get to understand exactly what I want to do, and then I'm going to do another video probably tomorrow on how to finish something like this. It's pretty much, I'll just give you a taste of it going into the next thing. So yeah, I'm going to have another group. I don't really need to do it right this moment. But so that's my foreground. This is my sky. On my sky, I usually always bring up the levels. And now that I've got two, I'm going to make a group from that right there. And this is going to be sky final. And then I'm probably going to do the same thing with this. So this one is going to be foreground final. And I do this because at this point in the workflow, my sky and my foreground are separate, which is great. One thing to make note of is if you have it on pass-through, anything you do in this group will be applied to everything under it. So what you want to do is make this normal. Make this one normal too. So that way anything you do in the sky remains on the sky, and here anything you do on the foreground remains on the foreground. But at this point your sky and foreground are separate, which is great because you can go into the sky. Screw it, I'll do a little bit of it. Go into your levels. This actually looks pretty decent because I'd usually bring this up a bit to darken it, but the thing is, you can see this is a histogram, how close to the shadows I already am. So I don't really want to do that too much. What I can do is since my highlights are all there, and you can see that changes up there, I can actually bring it up. I have a lot of space to do that. And this is just kind of like taking your exposure up. This right here adjusts the gamma. You don't really want to change that too much. Oh no, where was I? I think it was at 1. Yeah, I do want to change a little bit. Just a little bit. See, this is still super red because the white balance is wrong. So I usually use a bunch of these things. So I've got 1 right there. Now I'm going to click that again. And I'm going to go to levels again. And I'm going to go to this, which is black point. And I'm going to choose 35, 35, 35. Nope. And this is going to help you really change the white balance of everything. As you can see, that mask is a little bit funky, so there might be something I have to do to that later on. But yeah, that white balance just went from being red and insane to being normal. And you can click a few spots, see where it looks best, but it's usually out here on the outside of the image. You know, you go out here, it's going to go back to normal again. But you get back in the image, and you find that sweet spot. Now, where is that sweet spot? I think it's right there. That's good. So I already want to see if this is going to be a problem. So I'm going to go into foreground. I've got my levels right there. And I brighten my foreground. Yeah, I can. Not like I'm blown out. So I'm going to brighten my foreground up. Same thing. Adjust the gamma. Yeah. I don't really want to do anything like that there because there are probably shadows there which are not all the way. Oh, oops. So, reason that I did this on two is in case I have a problem with one of them, I could just remove it. You know. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Get a second levels, and I'm going to open a black point. Going to go 35, 35, 35, and that's right there because I don't want to be perfect black. I want to be like grayish. And let's just see if any of these will work out. I actually doubt any of them will. Because remember what's going to happen is this is going to have to be blended. So I just want to find something somewhere that makes it look nice. And sometimes it doesn't work. You know what you do when it doesn't? Try something else. That's the point of having that, doing that here rather than you can do it directly on the image, but I do not want to do that because that could be a slippery slope. So this looks like it needs a bunch of work because changing that black point up there drastically changed what's going on here. So I'm going to end this right here. This is stacking. I'm going to do some work on this, figure out how to solve the problem, and then I'll record it and show it. But you could look forward to that at another time. Remind me tomorrow. Story of my life. Thank you for watching.